Dude, everyone sucks all the time, is what I've learned in my 22 years.
Except for us. We're great. Everybody support the podcast. What's good? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of The Newest Olympian. My name is Mike Schubert. I'm the titular Newest Olympian. I'm a 34-year-old man who never read the Percy Jackson books as a kid, but I read them as an adult because I was on a quest to determine if society had been sleeping on the series. I said yes, and now I'm seeing if society's been sleeping on the Heroes of Olympus series. And I'm not on this quest alone. I'm never on this quest alone. I'm joined by a very special guest, someone that is new to the TNO universe in that at the time of recording, they've edited one episode, and they did a very good job, and I'm excited about the future ahead. It's our previous intern, our current editor, Emma Nelsen. Emma, how's it going?
Hello, Mike. I'm doing well. Although I have to say, I have edited 2 episodes at this point.
Oh, I guess, sorry. I mean, right.
One that's come out at time of recording.
Yes, I should have said. We are recording this July 17th. You have edited 2. 1 has been published. At the time people are hearing this, more than 2 will have been published.
And that's double the amount.
Yeah, that's math, folks. It's real. I am happy to tell you on mic now that someone paid a very high compliment saying that if I hadn't mentioned anything in the first episode where I said, oh, hey, this was Emma's first one, they wouldn't have noticed a difference.
I actually saw this comment too. I gave it a heart.
Good, as you should.
Shout out. I think their username was the_normal_person.
Not that you've read it every night before bed since that episode.
Yeah, not that I check it on an hourly interval basis.
I hope it stays this way, but I find the Spotify podcast comment section to be mostly positive. Rarely are people mean in those comments. And it's one of the few places left on the internet where it's okay to check the comment section.
Yeah, it feels safe in there. I think especially for your podcast. Because I will say there are some other Spotify podcasts, I'll peek into the comment sections, and it is similar to other comment sections across the internet, but you just foster a really sweet community, I think.
Thank you. It's one of the things that I've really enjoyed about all of the podcasting stuff I've done is that the community is really cool. It's a bunch of good eggs. Everyone's really nice. Yeah, I haven't poked into too many comment sections on Spotify. The only time I did, I'll keep it vague, but basically there's a comedian podcast I like where he interviews other comedians, and he had that right-wing mustache guy on, Matt, what's his face?
Right-wing mustache guy. Is he like an influencer or like an actual politician?
He's like a comedian in quotation marks because he's not very funny, but he has that podcast where they had Trump on and stuff.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
I'm so glad I don't know his name. This makes me really happy. Yeah. But anyway, I don't need to say anything further. The guy who's kind of like right-wing griftery.
Sure.
And the host of this podcast is not that type of comedian, smart and left-leaning and nice and stuff. And I checked the comment section because I was like, I hope people are dragging this guy for having him on the pod. And everyone was. And it made me feel really happy. So yeah, the one other time I've dipped my toes into the comment section, it was pretty good. So hopefully it stays that way.
I guess my other point of reference is just a movie podcast where the podcasters say they either like or dislike the movie, and then the comments are like, I disagree, but in kind of an intense way.
I can't imagine hosting one of those, because even when I make 1 to 2 sentence comments about things like that, like movies or TV shows or whatever, usually I'll get a couple of comments like, oh, Mike is so wrong. And it's like, wow, I talked about this for maybe 17 seconds of a 60-minute podcast episode.
And now that you're entering the Twilight universe, you better watch out.
Yeah.
You got to build up your defenses.
Well, here's the
barricades.
Here's the key, and this is the good timing because Johnny and I, along with new special addition to the podcast, Kelly, have recorded now our 2nd episode. So we're working on this podcast, which has such a good title that I'm not going to say it until the title comes out. And it's going to be a watch along with Twilight, the movies. So basically like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 where like we'll tell you
Oh,
when to
that's
hit
sick.
play and then we do kind of like director's commentary over the movies. So we just wrapped doing New Moon last night, which was
Awesome.
quite the ride. Quite the ride. So we're working on that, trying to get it. The key here, though, is that much like The Last and the Curious, the Fast and the Furious one I did, it's going to be up just for like one-time download, one-time purchase on Patreon, where there are no comments. I guess you could, I don't know if you can, you might be able to leave comments on like a shop listing on Patreon, but it's designed in a way where I don't think I'm going to see any negative things. And I also don't think anyone's going to listen. Like, it's not going to be in the public. It's not just going to be like downloadable by anyone. You're going to have to pay $5, and pretty much the only people who will find it are people who either know about me or get it recommended to them by people who know about me. So it should be a safe space. But man, those movies have been fascinating. I've enjoyed it though.
Yeah. Oh man, they're a wild ride. I'm excited for you to get through the rest of them because it only gets weirder.
I'm excited. I can't wait to meet my girl Renesmee. Okay, but let's talk about Percy Jackson. This
we should probably do that.
A Percy Jackson podcast, so we should talk about Percy Jackson. Now, what we're going to be covering today is chapters 60 through 63 of the House of Hades. So that's a Jason chapter and then a set of Percy chapters. But before we get into it, it's your first time on the pod. So what's your history of the Percy Jackson books and / or the Heroes of Olympus books?
So for reference for the listener, I'm 22. So I was an 04 baby. And the Percy Jackson books were kind of the direct descendant of the Harry Potter books in that if you were a kid who liked to read books and specifically fantasy kind of YA series, it felt like the natural pattern, the natural path of things was you read the Harry Potter books and then you read the Percy Jackson books. So I don't remember exactly when I would have read them. I want to say it was probably my 4th or 5th grade year.
Okay.
And I'm sure I tore through them because I was a pretty voracious reader. And, you know, those first 5 books aren't too much trouble to get through unless you're doing an in-depth podcast about them.
Yeah, that'll take you about 6 months.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I loved the books. I loved them. And then after I finished that series, the Heroes of Olympus would have already been out. Maybe the whole series, definitely at least a handful of the books. But I either did not know about their existence, or if I did, maybe I misunderstood their connection to the main series and I didn't know that Percy and Annabeth were still main characters, and I think I just maybe had a lower interest in them until I think it was the first year of quarantine, 2020. My good friend Mia, she was reading the Heroes of Olympus series for the first time, and she was like, Emma, you have to read these, because she loved Percy Jackson as well. I mean, we were both totally into this sort of thing. We went to a Harry Potter camp together, just total nerds. And she was like, you have to read these so I have someone else to talk about them with. And I was like, well, funny enough, there's nothing on my calendar in July of 2020. And so I read the Heroes of Olympus books and I loved them. And this week preparing for this podcast was my first time returning to them in 6 years. And it was a real delight to go back through them because I just love these characters. But I haven't read past the Heroes of Olympus series, so I'm excited I think I'll start following along with you, whichever path you go down next after Blood of Olympus, which is very exciting.
Very exciting, yes. I believe it will be Trials of Apollo, but I'm not set on that. I'm going to leave it up to the patrons to decide. I'll have a big vote. It'll be a whole thing. I might even maybe I'll do like 2 rounds of voting where it's like all patrons and then just the Olympic court, the people at the highest tier. Like the vote's got to pass the House and the Senate.
Dude, you're bringing like the Roman centurions into this.
Heck yeah. Oh yeah, we can frame it that way. That's genius. Yeah. So I'll figure out. But I'm leaning.
Write that down.
I'm leaning Trials of Apollo, but we'll see what it's going to come down to is what do the people want the most? What do the people want?
This is a democracy.
And by the people, I mean the paying people. Yeah. Because if you're not a patron and you're upset with whatever book I choose, I'll gladly give you a refund of $0.00, which is what you've been paying for this podcast.
But I listened to those 2 commercials in the middle.
Oh, yeah? But did you buy the thing and use my promo code and make sure that Quince knows that you're buying a shirt because of me?
Yeah, listener, did you do that?
Did you do that?
Didn't think so.
Did you buy merch online? No, it's fine. You can listen for free. It's okay. I still love you, but I love the patrons more. But yeah, we'll see what I'm doing next. But yeah, that's very exciting. That's very exciting. And I love a friend bullying you into doing something so that they're not solo. I do that. I've been on the other end of it. I love it. And I also think it's very funny, given when we're recording now in July of 2026, especially you being in Chicago, where it's the unhealthiest air ever.
Oh
so
my
masks
gosh.
are back.
It's horrible.
Masking outdoors are back. Like I've still been a masking indoor person because I just want to be safe and I don't want to get the little one sick. But yeah, I went to an outdoor soccer match this week and it was like, well, I guess I'm N95ing outside. Okay. Throwback.
It's wild. I was literally talking about this. I had therapy this morning and she was like, oh, how are you doing? And I had my book with me because I'd been reading and I was like, oh, this week has been really cool. I've been rereading these books and it's kind of nostalgic, but in a weird way because it's a time that wasn't necessarily all great, and also the masks are coinciding with it because of the air quality. So I was really going back to 2020 today.
Yeah, too much throwback. Wearing masks but for different reasons, and washing all of our groceries but for different reasons.
Yeah.
Not that I don't normally rent stuff, but it's become to a new level.
And our president is our president.
Oh no, it is the same guy. Oh,
I
that
know.
sucks so much.
I know. Come on. Come on.
You know, I guess every time that dude's in charge, you have to worry about what you're eating and you're not allowed to breathe. Okay,
Yeah.
let's now that we've had two separate tangents about stuff, let's talk about chapter 60. So chapter 60 is called Jason. We'll obviously retitle it. Now, where we last left these heroes, they had made their way out of the Wind Fortress in Africa, and now they are making their way into the area where Leo is believed to be. So what we see at the top of this chapter is the line, quote, they found Leo at the top of the city fortifications. They're in Malta. He was sitting at an open-air cafe overlooking the sea, drinking a cup of coffee and dressed in ... Wow, time warp. And then Jason describes it's the exact same outfit that he wore in The Lost Hero when they first got to Camp Half-Blood.
To which I say, you remember what he was wearing? I feel like I just don't think I would remember, but maybe it was a traumatic enough experience. It's kind of his first memory in a way, in a version of his life that maybe I'll attribute it to that.
I also think at least with the jacket, it seemed like it was a trademark Leo jacket that he wore all the time until it couldn't fit him. And Leo also strikes me as kind of like a character from a cartoon show where it's like, I wear the same thing every day kind of guy.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's like, oh, he's back in his default outfit.
Yeah. Like, oh, there's Mike again in his pink pants. Yeah. So I feel like that would track for Leo. So Piper gives him a huge hug and asks where he's been, Loca, which I had already written in the notes ready to talk about the Twilight thing and all of that, but no, you preceded it. Well
there
done.
We
Your
go.
check is in the mail. So asks where he's been, Loca. Coach Hedge is overjoyed, but then tries to quickly course correct to a fake tough guy act that doesn't work and tries to hit him with a never do that to me again kind of thing. Frank pats him on the back way too hard by accident because he's still not used to being super jacked Aries boy. And then Nico shakes his hand, and then Hazel kisses his cheek, which tracks because she's from the 1940s.
Oh yeah, she's kissing everyone on the cheek and then fanning her face if they react a certain way.
Oh man, she would either have to be from the 1940s America or France. When I did live in Paris, it was just because I hadn't grown up with it. It was stressful for me to do the kiss goodbye thing, just because I was like, I'm so not used to doing this. I really got to make sure that I'm like doing it not enough where it feels like because it's not like a kiss on the cheek. It's like your cheeks touch and you kiss past them kind of thing. So it's
like a dance.
It very much is. And it's like, I want to make sure I do it enough to where it seems like I'm not grossed out by them, but not too much where it seems like I'm intrigued. It does make me wonder, I should have asked my French friends about this. French listeners, let me know in the comments or in an email or whatever. How early do you have to start doing that? Because I remember like in middle school, when you start hugging people goodbye, I would get really in my head about like, did Mackenzie Kissel linger on that hug? Am I reading into this too much?
No, that's what I was going to say too, is I'm like, if you're French and you're interested in someone, do you let it linger a little bit longer than you would for someone else? Or is that like not kosher? I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, French listeners, and even French Canadian listeners, if you do the kiss thing too, let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know what you do to make sure you're not giving the wrong message, especially in the preteen years, because gosh, that feels stressful.
Oh my gosh, to be a French preteen, a worse fate than Tartarus.
I was going to say, yeah, we're complaining about, it's probably pretty good.
It's probably fine. They probably got it figured out.
When baguettes are a buck. Come on. Anyway, Percy Jackson. So Leo says that he's doing all right, but Jason can tell that something is up because Leo won't make eye contact. And the biggest tell is that his hands are completely still, and that never happens. His nervous energy seems to be replaced by a wistful sadness. Now, Jason thinks that Leo looks similar to Nico post-Cupid reveal. So Jason, continuing to be a very good friend, is really locked into the emotions of his teammates. So he's at this point wondering, I wonder if it's relationship based, and then we'll see some things happen.
I love the way that it's written out in the book because it says, quote, Jason wondered why his expression seemed familiar. Then he realized Nico D'Angelo had looked the same way after facing Cupid in the ruins of Salona. And then there's a paragraph break for just one sentence, and it says, Leo was, and in my head I'm like, gay. But just heartsick. Heartsick was the word that was actually written there. But it really seemed like he was setting up for something different.
Oh my gosh, that would have been great. I love it. Oh, it would have been amazing, but still good on Jay. I dig this from Jason. Now everybody else grabs chairs because they're going to eat some food, but Jason grabs Leo's shoulder and leans in and asks, hey, what happened, man? Which, I love this. Jason is so pure. I will be so crushed when he perishes. But then narrator Jason goes, quote, Leo's eyes swept around the group. The message was clear. Not here, not in front of everyone. Leo just says that he got marooned and it's a long story and asks how everybody else is, so he's clearly trying to deflect. And then he asks what happened with Keone. And then Hedge says, what happened? Piper happened. And Piper immediately tries to downplay it, which I will not stand for. Do not be too humble here. Come on. You did some cool stuff. Take pride.
No, she did do really cool stuff. I'm imagining it if this were the animated, which isn't a real thing that's confirmed or anything, but the projected, hoped-for Heroes of Olympus animated series, this is where Coach Hedge goes into describing it, and there's a really cool montage of what didn't actually happen.
Yes, that's great.
And then it just cuts back to Piper being like, yeah, that wasn't it.
Not true. That didn't happen. Yes, Hedge's rendition of this story is far more ninja themed than the actual thing was.
Yeah.
Basically, the story just kind of fades out, and then narrator Jason fades in with thinking about how Leo's looking at a view of the harbor, and he didn't run up and meet the crew. He stayed where he was drinking coffee, which canonically he doesn't even like, just waiting for them to approach him. Jason thinks that's super strange because Leo's number one priority is the ship. So him not being excited to see it means something clearly is wrong. So Piper then stops Hedge's stretching of this story and says that she couldn't have done it without Festus. And that catches Leo's attention because Festus was supposed to be deactivated. And Piper explains that she woke him. And Leo says that shouldn't be possible, but perhaps the, quote, new updates, which are doing a lot of heavy lifting, let him respond to voice commands.
Yeah.
So even Festus is getting the Leo overpowered, I get new powers every couple of chapters effect.
Yeah, it's like almost like the way that AI companies try to tell you that generative AI will work, which is like, hey, soon it's going to be able to improve upon itself and then grow exponentially and this, that, except it's the magic version of it. And then now it's being applied to Piper.
Yeah, and look, like in the case of actual AI in this thing, I hate it both times. Obviously, I hate the AI thing way more because it's the worst and it's terrible for the environment and it's not even good and it ruins people's brains and lives and it just sucks all around. So terrible.
Agreed.
And I'm so terrified of AI taking these publicly available podcasts and making a Mike Schubert voice copy. It's probably already out there. I hate it so much.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Not fun. Not fun at all. Anyway, Leo says that the updates might allow him to respond to these voice commands. And then he says, quote, if he's permanently activated, that means the navigation system and the crystal. And Jason goes, crystal? And Leo goes, nothing. Anyway, what happened after the wind bomb went off? And first off, this is not particularly smooth. But second, how does everyone just let him drop this? What do you mean? We're going to talk about a crystal and then not discuss it further?
He must look so sad. He's like sad beyond the point of harping on the crystal. They're like, we cannot disturb him. He's in his OG outfit and he looks really sad. And he's drinking coffee.
It ends tonight by the All-American Rejects is just emanating from him. We can't ask him any
he
questions.
thinks his headphones are plugged in, but it's actually playing out of his phone.
Oh, it's just the saddest. Is that Boulevard of Broken Dreams? Wow. Hazel then tells the story of what happened after the wind bomb went off. They order food. Frank picks up a tourist brochure because Frank loves tourist stuff so much. I love this for him. Piper touches Leo to make sure that he's real. Nico is scanning all of the people walking by to make sure that they're not enemies. And Hedge is eating the salt and pepper shakers, which feels like of all of the things on the table that are not food to eat, those feel like some of the trickiest because the salt and pepper would just kind of go everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a really messy snack.
Yeah, he's got to get it all in one bite. You can't nibble at a salt and pepper shaker unless you want shrapnel flying at everyone else.
Narrator Jason notes that the group's mood seems down, and now he realizes how essential Leo is to the overall vibes of the team. So then Hazel finishes the story with how Jason was harnessing the venti, and Leo finally cracks a joke that it sounds just like Jason held onto some hot air and then let it loose. And Jason's like, well, when you put it that way, it sounds pretty bad. But I guess what Jason should have done, and my first thought was, Jason likened it to holding up a barbell for hours. Barbells which weigh 45 pounds. It makes me want to, and maybe I'll make that the Instagram post for this episode, I should just go to my building's gym and just hold up a barbell for as long as I can. And I'm pretty strong. The upper body is not my strongest of the two halves of Mike Schubert, but I feel like it's not going to be a lot, and I would do better than a lot of people. Definitely canonically scrawny Leo Valdez. So I feel like Jason should have said, hey, man, it felt like I was holding up a barbell for 5 hours. And then Leo would have probably asked, what's a barbell?
But the thing is, Jason, he's so humble. And remember, Leo is sad.
That's true. So and Jason recognizes the sadness.
Yeah. And Jason is emotionally intelligent enough to clock the signs.
And Jason probably looks like he lifts a lot because he's our classic quarterback boy. So I feel like it's already stated, do you lift, bro? Yes, I do. Quite often.
Yeah. And throughout the book, Rick makes sure to comment on how everyone is looking tanner and stronger and leaner. They are just constantly gaining.
Mm-hmm. And Leo's getting scrawnier and sunken eye sockets, and it's not good. It's not looking good.
Oh, no.
But Leo wonders, why Malta? And then Frank points to the brochure for a possible answer. It's the former home of Calypso. And I wrote in my notes, Calypso, Narrator Jason then describes that as, quote, a pint of blood drained from Leo's face.
It's a lot of blood.
It's a lot. I need
He's passing out. Head's hitting the table.
Yeah, how much? Let's see. I don't think this is going to answer it, but like, how many
pints of blood do we have?
In the face. How much blood in the? Well, okay, let's start. How much blood in the human body in pints? 8 to 12 pints.
Oh my gosh, he lost a ton.
That's a lot. Like 10%?
He lost like 10%, yeah.
Your face, I mean, I know you got a lot of like small blood vessels in there, but like how much blood in the human face? Pints. Huh? The human face contains about 0.8 to 1.7 cups. So he had blood go up into his face, extra rush, and then it drained. Actually, no, that doesn't make sense. Well, a pint is 2 cups because I know how Gallon Man works. So if he lost a full pint, then he needed extra blood to lose.
Yeah.
So Jason is saying he lost all of the blood from his face plus some other blood.
Yeah, it's a mathematical impossibility, the amount of blood that drained from Leo's face. Jason might be good at recognizing emotional signals, but he's got to study up on the human body a little bit.
He's just terrible at estimating. It's one of those count the jelly bean things, and it has 200 in there. He's like, 5,000.
He had to have one thing he's bad at.
He needs a flaw.
Pretty good at everything else.
Yeah, he's really good, so he needs some sort of flaw, and it's estimation, which I can fully get. I remember I'm a huge nerd. It's no secret. Math and science was always my strongest suits in school. And in my first or second grade math class, when they taught us estimation, which I called getting it wrong on purpose, I was so upset because it would be like estimate 7 plus 10. And I would be doing this homework assignment sitting with my mom and I would say, it's 17. And she'd go, yes, but you're supposed to estimate. So you round up 7 to 10, and then you're saying that the estimation is 20. And I was like, but the answer's 17. Well, why would I give an answer that's off by 3?
No, I don't like that when it's something that you can solve quickly. If it's how many jelly beans are in the jar, of course you can estimate. But that is really infuriating. That would have totally bothered me as a kid, too.
Right. And I think the thing was they probably gave us numbers that they thought most first or second graders or however old we are couldn't do, estimating, adding into the hundreds. But I knew that stuff, man. I knew how to do that.
Yeah. You were reading ahead in the textbooks.
I was ahead of the curve. Big old nerd, as stated as many times as I can possible on the podcast. Me and recurring guest Alyssa Esteban, the only 2 people in kindergarten who spelled face right. So.
Oh, really? Is that the story?
Yeah, they asked us to spell face because I think they were teaching us how, C doesn't always have to make the hard k sound.
Right.
And they asked us how to spell it, and I was like, oh yeah, F-A-C-E. And Alyssa was like, yep, F-A-C-E. And everybody else in the class either put F-A-S or F-A-S-E. Those idiots! Come on!
Idiots. Absolute dolts.
Fools. Absolute fools.
Go back to preschool.
Yeah, do it over, come back, learn to spell face, then talk to me. So anyway, Percy Jackson, pint of blood drains from Leo's face. Frank relays that the brochure says that she lived on the island of Gozo, just north of there. Then checks, quote, Calypso's a Greek myth thingy, right? Which is so funny. So funny. Hedge is incredibly excited because he thinks this means a fight is coming their way. And Leo very seriously just states, we do not have to fight her. So that clues Piper to ask, what's wrong? And Leo says, nothing is wrong, which is always the telltale sign that something is wrong.
Yeah.
And Leo says they should get going. Hazel tries to get Leo to say where he went and where he got these clothes from, and Leo responds, geez, ladies, I appreciate the concern, but I don't need 2 extra moms, which is 1, gross, but 2 extra moms would rule.
Oh my God, yeah.
That would be fantastic. 2 extra moms?
I love having a mom and a dad, don't get me wrong, but I would love 2 extra moms. Just throw them in there.
Cashing in your dad for 2 extra moms.
Sorry. Well, also, the thing about this line is I don't think it was intended this way at all. I think it's totally written as a flippant joke that Leo makes, but it's also kind of devastating because he definitely would love 2 extra moms. I mean, he lost his mom when he was 8, and his dad's not around.
Oh my God, I didn't think of that at all. If anyone needs, yes, he has 0 pay. He for sure needs 2 extra moms.
I know he wants them.
Oh man. The other thing I was thinking of when I wrote this in my notes, I was thinking, would 2 extra moms rule? And definitely, I think as a kid, you'd be like, oh no, because it's like 2 more people you have to kiss goodbye, 2 more people you have to text where you're going.
And if you're French, you have to kiss them like 3 times.
Oh my God, that's so much kissing.
I'll take the 2 extra moms as long as they're not French.
Yeah. And then I was thinking, okay, as an adult, like now, I love Barb. I don't need 2 extra Barbs, but having 2 extra people checking on me would be very cool.
Oh yeah.
2 extra grandmas helping out with the little one, cool. 2 extra phone calls, though, because I do call my mom like every couple of days. Like that might add up. Not that I don't live in talking to my mom on the phone, but if I talk to her,
it gets
3
busy.
times as much, that might be a lot.
Yeah.
And also with the extra moms, you're just telling the same thing to those moms over and over again. And I've always been an improv boy, more of a stand-up boy, so I don't want to be telling the same story over and over again.
Yeah.
So the thing I realized, though, is it would really rule for the parents. If Kelly and I had 2 extra hands around to just help, my God. Like if there were 3 Kellys doing all of the childcare and all of the other things that go around with parenting, my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. If we outnumbered this kid 4-1, it'd be game over.
You'd be running that house like the Navy.
I would be updating the TNO website more frequently. Let's say that. Apologies to anyone who actually uses the website for listening and stuff. I have been so lacking because it's so hard to do anything more than just get the episodes out.
Yeah, guys, you don't get it. He doesn't have 2 extra wives.
I need... Oh, God. Phrased that way, it's so much worse.
Yeah, let's keep it to moms. Let's keep it to moms.
Let's keep it to moms. They're just independent moms.
Yeah, no, for hire, freelance.
Yay. Anyway, Percy Jackson. So Leo insists that they have a ship to fix and a Gia to defeat, so they got to get going. He ends his plea with a Leo's back with a grin and outstretched arms, but Jason sees the crack in the facade. He sees the sadness in his eyes, and he knows that it relates to Calypso. He's not sure how, though, because he can't recall Calypso's story. He only remembers that she's a sorceress. So he thinks escaping from a sorceress's lair shouldn't produce sadness. And he thinks, I'll probably find out later. I'll ask Leo about this later. Now is not the time. Instead, Jason, being the good friend that he is, rises and says that Leo is right. They should get going. So the gang gets moving, but then Hazel gasps and points at something in the horizon. And Jason doesn't see anything at first, but then he sees black lightning. And it turns out that only he, Nico, and Hazel can see it. And that causes Jason to wonder, how come I can see it? It seems like an underworld thing. I'm guessing because lightning?
Yeah, come
that
on,
would
Jason.
Be my thought.
Yeah, I don't really know or remember if it's anything other than that, but that was my instinct too. I was like, well, it's probably the whole lightning thing.
Probably. So Nico's in disbelief, thinking that Greece is hundreds of miles away. So Jason asks, oh, do you think that's Epirus? Nico then nods and says, quote, the House of Hades is open for business. And I was still very confused, but then in the later chapters we will read, it becomes clear what this all means. They then hear a rumbling, and Hazel says Gia's final push has begun and her forces are entering the mortal world rapidly. Chapter 60 then ends with the following quote from the book. Jason set his jaw. We'll defeat them, and we'll make it there fast. We've got Leo back. He'll give us the speed we need. He turned to his friend. Or is that just hot air? Leo managed a crooked grin. His eyes seemed to say, thanks. Time to fly, boys and girls, he said. Uncle Leo still got a few tricks up his sleeves. And that's the end of chapter 60, which I have retitled in a nod to Leo and all the ladies loving him, Sad Boy Supreme instead of Bad Boy Supreme.
Nice. That's a really good one. I was thinking either our fire regains his spark or our fire loses his spark, because he's kind of lost it, but then by the end of the chapter it seems like he's trying to rev it up, or because of the whole gas joke thing, like I add some gas to the fire.
Ooh, I like it. And you would be, oh my gosh, are you young enough to be Gen Alpha?
No.
Okay.
No.
How young are Gen Alpha folk now?
Okay, so I think I was having this conversation recently because I have 3 younger siblings and 2 of them are significantly younger than me. My sister Audrey was born in 2013, and I believe she is right on the cusp.
Yeah, internet says 2010 to 2024 birth date. So people would be between 2 and 16.
Oh, okay. So that means me and my 20-year-old sister are Gen Z, and then my 2 younger siblings are Gen Alpha. So we're split.
Okay. Is it Gen Alpha who's saying when something is cool, that's gas?
Oh, that's gas? I mean, Gen Z's saying that. We're saying that's
Gen
gas.
Z says it too?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, don't worry. We got it.
Sweet. I'm just trying to stay on top. I want to know what the things are. I'm not going to say them, but I want to be able to translate things when I see them on the internet. So I don't have to go, what's this?
You're not teaching your daughter when she sees something cool or like has really good food to go, that's gas?
No. What's funny is we just try to like talk to her like a proper adult. Like we don't like baby talk and stuff like that. And it's produced some really fun things because she just will say things that are very adult phrases. Sometimes she'll just go, speaking of which is great.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
She doesn't use it in the right instances. Sometimes she does, which will be great. It's funny either way. But then also when she asks for stuff, because we just try to talk politely to her, a big thing we learned, there's a parenting tip for everybody. We have in-laws whose kids are incredibly polite. They say please and thank you all the time, and their parents never have to do the whole say please, say thank you. And we asked them, okay, what did you guys do? And they were like, we did nothing. I guess we just say please and thank you to each other a lot, and our kids just picked up on it. So Kelly and I just try to like talk to each other and to our daughter very kindly. And now when our daughter asks for stuff, she will just say, I would like to read a book.
Oh my
gosh. It's just so nice and polite.
That's so adorable. See, guys, it's not that hard.
Yeah, parenting's easy. It's so easy.
Guys, take it from me. It's so easy.
Take it from Emma. It's so simple. All right, let's keep it rocking. Let's do chapter 61 before we break for our mid-roll break. This one's called Percy. We'll retitle it. Now, where we last left Percy and Annabeth, they were doing the whole doors of death approach. They just got out of the Knicks situation. They're still in their mist form and such, so they've got that going on. The opening line of chapter 61 is, quote, Percy wasn't dead yet, but he was already tired of being a corpse. And he's just in disbelief that this body he sees still belongs to him. He keeps looking down and it doesn't feel right. And I feel this way because this past December, I got glasses just for my astigmatism. So basically I will just wear them at night when I'm reading, if I'm driving, which is very rare because I live in New York City. Every now and then, if it's weird lighting out and I'm playing a softball game at dusk, and every time I catch myself in the mirror, just because I went 34 years, I guess 33 and change years of not wearing glasses, it's still, I just can't help but stare at myself in the mirror when I'm wearing glasses because it just feels so different. I'm wondering when it will sink in for me.
Yeah. You know what this description reminded me of? The way that he's talking about how exhausted. I mean, they've kind of been going on about this the whole time they've been in Tartarus, because the whole time it's been basically sucking out their life force. Yeah. But it reminds me of in a video game when you're at like low HP, and so the screen starts to change and it's outlined with red and it's like pulsing with your heartbeat. That's what I feel like they're probably experiencing.
I like it. Now, Percy's afraid that he will stay this way forever, looking, quote, like an extra from The Walking Dead. And that to me was just a bit of a slap in the face of, oh, right, this book did come out in the 2010s.
Yep,
and that was early days of The Walking Dead. I tried watching early The Walking Dead in college. I watched all of season 1, like while it was coming out, because I'm that old. And it was good. And then season 2, I don't know if you're a viewer of it, but season 2... There's a point in season 2 where they're just like posted up in a house for a long time, like a farmhouse, instead of like moving and grooving and stuff. And I found it to be so boring that I just stopped watching and I never got back on it.
Yeah.
And then I was glad I did, because people said it was one of those shows where they just kind of kept stretching it out and out and out. I loved the Walking Dead video games, the Telltale Games, Choose Your Own Adventure stuff. They're really fun. And they also, because it follows the graphic novel, they also went to this house, but it was only, a certain smaller portion of the game.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it more. So
yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be The Walking Dead, not the house sitting, staying dead.
That's very funny that you said that, because when I was talking to my friends about it, I complained. I said the show's supposed to be The Walking Dead, not The Talking Dead. All they're doing is sitting around and talking.
Okay, that was the better version of what I said. Future Emma, cut that.
Yeah, to edit, put it in, completely edit it so you make this joke instead. And then what was funny is they eventually made a watch-along podcast or whatever, or a recap, whatever, official post-show podcast thing, and it's called The Talking Dead. And I was like, oh, hey, that insult I threw at them 8 years ago or whatever.
You're like, so do I get residuals?
Please,
or
I have eyewitnesses from Rice University who will tell you that I used to make this joke to them.
Yeah.
My buddy Patrick, who was still an avid watcher and kept trying to get me to get back in.
You were like, dude, it's gone. It's long gone.
So out. I've got so much to do. I have so much homework. So anyway, Percy Jackson. Now, there's no good place for Percy to look. He can't look down because there's a creepy ground. He can't look in a way where he can see his scary body. He looks to Annabeth. She looks creepy. And then if he looks ahead of him, it's the worst, because he sees the forming army. As the narrator, he says, quote, thousands of baddies, maybe tens of thousands, all milling restlessly, pressing against one another, growling and fighting for space, like the locker area of an overcrowded school between classes if all the students were roid-raging mutants who smelled really bad.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good description, because that scenario was really stressful in school. When you're just trying to get to class and everyone is just standing in the worst possible spot to converse.
Yeah, really rough. And you got to rush. You only have 5 minutes in between, or 3 minutes, or whatever it is in between the bells. And you have to get from one side to the other, and you got to get your textbooks, and always so stressful.
It's the worst. Also, the way that he's describing that there's no good place to look, and specifically when he looks at Annabeth, it reminds me of those shots in SpongeBob where it gets like hyper realistic and really disgusting.
Water,
that's what I imagine he
sees.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he turns to Annabeth, just like,
So good. Man. So anyway, Bob brings them towards the army. He's not trying to hide at all, which makes sense because he's huge, so he couldn't hide. And he's a Titan, so he can blend in just by being Bob.
Yeah.
He tells them to get behind him and to stay quiet. The plan is for them to go undetected, prompting Annabeth to ask, how can you see us, Bob? And Bob basically says it's the power of friendship, much like the 2026 NBA champion New York Knicks, who defeated the San Antonio Spurs with the power of friendship.
I was waiting for
Gotta hit it once an episode. I have
to.
I am wearing one of my 5 New York Knicks 2026 championship hats that I own now.
Sweet. That's awesome.
Got to.
No, you got to. Yeah, you earned it.
Thank you. The proof that I earned it is that I am wearing a Knicks tape shirt, which I bought in 2012.
Dang.
So I'm wearing a 14-year-old shirt from when we were really, really bad, and now a hat from when we are the best. So yeah, from the Omega.
If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best.
No, if you can't handle me at my Ron Baker, you don't deserve me at my Jalen Brunson.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Shout out Ron. I thought that guy was the truth. Anyway, so Annabeth asks, okay, what about Nix and her kids? They could see us. And Bob says, yeah, but you were in her realm. And Annabeth goes, right. So I like that this chapter is just kind of establishing, look, it's Tartarus. Nothing makes sense. Up is down is up.
Yeah.
Let's just roll with it.
Yeah.
Percy looks at the army and he says that, well, we're not going to have to worry about bumping into any friends here. And I was like, I don't know. What if Luke is there?
Oh, that would have been crazy.
Right. Bob then goes, yes, that is good news. Now let's go. Death is close. And Annabeth responds, the doors of death are close. Phrasing is very important. Please, Bob, please.
It's Leviosa.
Oh, God. They're walking through the army. It's in Archer. Archer's the show where they always yell phrasing or whatever.
Oh, is that? I've never seen that.
That's like, it was I was a boy in college when that show came out, and it was very like right up my alley of like boy humor show. I'm sure
No, I've seen it on Hulu
better.
and it's caught my eye, but I usually click a different animated show first.
Yeah, I remember it being funny, but I also remember being 19 years old. So who knows? I mean, but look, you're 22. You're right in that way. It's great, Emma. You're going to love it.
Yeah. Dude, The Walking Dead season 1 is going to entice me, and so is all of Archer when they yell phrasing.
Oh, man. But yeah, it would be like people would say stuff like accidentally innuendo sounding, and then Archer would yell phrasing at people.
Sure, yeah.
So they're walking through the army. Percy's nervous because he's faced off against these baddies before, and he's faced off against a large group of them, like in the Battle of Manhattan, but this is next level. There's just so many of them. Mm-hmm. And he's especially on edge because in this instance, he's the intruder. He's not defending his home turf. He is the invader. And narrator Percy says, quote, he didn't belong in this multitude of monsters any more than the Minotaur belonged in Penn Station at rush hour. And Penn Station at rush hour is a true perfect reference for Rick to put here, because it's really rough at rush hour in particular, because not only do you have subway lines in there, but you also have NJ transit lines in there. Oh. And with rush hour in particular, commuting time is really bad at Penn Station. And then it could even be, if there's an early enough Knicks evening game, MSG is right on top of Penn Station. So you could have some really intense people trying to get up out of the subway portion to the Knicks game. Then across the street from Penn Station is Moynihan Train Hall, where the Amtrak station is, so you could even get commuting people go to Philly or Connecticut or something. Rush hour in Penn Station, which also just kind of has like low ceilings, it is a certain circle on the level of hell. So Rick made a perfect selection here.
Nice job, Rick.
Good job, Rick. New York City boy approved. So, also, I apologize for not saying when I said there might be a Knicks game, there might be a 2026 defending NBA champion Knicks game.
Okay, good, because I was going to reach out to you afterwards and be like, hey, can we get an insert of this?
Right, can you do a pickup where you call them double champions since they won the NBA Cup and the NBA title? So, in the crowd, Percy sees Garyon, and he wants to slap him and say, thanks a lot, Tex, because of the R.I. curse pain from earlier in the book that he made them feel by cursing him with his final breath, which I thought was so funny. Mm-hmm. Percy then starts thinking about how every battle in which he was victorious was only temporary. These monsters are forever, but he has just one life as immortal. And then he has a sad thought. Seeing them assembled in Tartarus, Percy felt as hopeless as the spirits in the river Cocytus. So what if he was a hero? So what if he did something brave? Evil was always here, regenerating, bubbling under the surface. Percy was no more than a minor annoyance to these immortal beings. They just had to outweight him. Someday, Percy's sons or daughters might have to face them all again. And yeah, you're right, but I wrote on my notes, but humanity will keep coming and coming and coming.
Yeah.
And then thankfully Percy eventually gets to that thought. He looks at Annabeth and thinks, even though she looks spooky, she does still look beautiful. And then he keeps thinking about that line he had said, sons and daughters. And at first he's scared by it. Then he thinks, oh, how foolish of me to think we would live long enough to have sons and daughters, plural. And then he thinks, wait, but it would be so amazing. And then he cracks a smile. And as a parent, that just warmed my heart. It really did. It really, really did. And it's fun because I've obviously had the joy of parenting, and it is hard. Like, it's obviously hard, but it is really great. And I love the little one so much. And I was talking to Kelly about this because when my beloved New York Knicks won the championship, I certainly was very happy, but it was not like this explosion of euphoria that I thought it was going to be. And there's some other factors, like we were up 3-1 in the series. We had all these comebacks. It had felt like it might be we're gonna win. It's just in how many games, especially after Game 4, which I was in attendance at in person. So like cool. That was probably part of it. Also the way the game ended, Game 5, it was like stop and go, lots of fouls, foul shots, all that kind of stuff. But I was talking to Kelly. I was like, is something wrong? Like, why didn't I feel this thing? And she said that she had either read somewhere or watched an Instagram reel or something about a parent talking about a similar experience and saying, it's just because you are experiencing so much joy so frequently that when you feel joy for something like this, that like objectively is a little silly.
Sure.
As much as I say I'm not on the Knicks. As much as I was superstitious about what clothes I wore before, during, after, and in between games, I didn't actually contribute to the victory, except the team did say that the crowd at Game 4 was incredibly loud and did motivate them to get back in the game and spooked the other team when we were booing them shooting free throws and stuff like that. So I did at least very, very marginally contribute. But I think like it makes sense that I wouldn't have this like over explosion of joy for something that like ultimately doesn't matter, as opposed to like my daughter that very, very much matters. So that was like a really cool, fun thing to hear.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Parenting's cool.
So
it's
sweet.
Tough and hard, but it's really cool. It's awesome. Big fan. Big fan. Anyway, Percy Jackson, enough sappiness. So then...
Yeah, I just threw up in my mouth.
The book ends this chapter with the following. What's wrong, Annabeth whispered. What's wrong, Annabeth whispered. With his zombie death mist disguise, Percy probably looked like he was grimacing in pain. Nothing, he said. I was just... Somewhere in front of them, a deep voice bellowed, Iapetus! And that is the end of the chapter, which I've retitled Back to the Future, because he was thinking about their future, and then the whole, like, is it possible? It had the vibes of, like, when Marty McFly's looking at the picture and it's fading in and out, all that kind of stuff. Do you have a retitling for chapter 61?
Yeah, I went with I sneak into a Monster Mosh pit.
I love it. And that would be a great sequel to the Monster Mash, the Monster Mosh.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was like. Do I make it a mash? It's not really a mash. They're not really dancing, so I'm going to go with mosh.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, we're going to take our mid-roll break here at the House of Headlines to talk about updates with the podcast, the live show stuff, new merch, all that. And then we'll get back to talk about the final 2 chapters of this episode. Hello and welcome to the House of Headlines Outdoor on a Porch edition. I'm coming to you from Seaside Heights, New Jersey, and you might be wondering, Mike, do you mean the same Seaside Heights from the hit MTV documentary series Jersey Shore? Yes, I do. It's the same one. I was actually here when they filmed it. Oh, fun fact. So I'm coming to you. It's 7:45 in the morning right now, and there might be some noises, but it should be relatively chill. If you hear some wind in the recording, I'm sorry. If you hear some birds chirping, you're welcome. So I've just got a couple of updates with the podcast. Let's discuss them really quickly. We can keep this pretty brief. So I'm recording this one on July 27th. That's the day this episode is coming out. So that means there's just a couple of days left before the pre-orders for the Mayor of Tangent Town pins close. That's also, we're doing the pre-orders for the Australia New Zealand stickers if you missed out on those. If you want more information about this, go to the TNO Instagram account. I have all the info, but basically we're closing the pre-orders down at the end of July, and then we'll start shipping them in mid-August. So head on over to Instagram.com/newest Olympian if you want details. You don't even need an Instagram account if you view it on a browser, and it basically just involves sending me some money either via PayPal or Venmo, and then me sending you a pin or stickers or both or multiple pins. Woo! Other timely updates is that we've got 3 live shows coming your way in the very near future. We've got one show in August that's going to be August 15th in Brooklyn, New York, and then 2 shows in September. One is on September 20th in Boston, and the other is on September 27th in Philly. I'm happy to announce that for the New York show, we now know what chapters of the House of Hades we'll be covering. We'll be covering chapters 69 through 72. Shout out to the folks at the highest level, the producer tier status on the Patreon. I asked them, the Olympic Court, who helps me with various production questions when I come across them. Hey, of the chapters that I have left in House of Hades, what would be the coolest for the live show? And the number one answer was chapters 71/72. And looking at my calendar schedule breakdown, 69 through 72 is open, and that's what we're going to be covering at the Brooklyn show. Those are Annabeth chapters. I don't know what's in them, but it's 4 short Annabeth chapters towards the end of the book. So maybe you know, or you can open up your copy and see what's up. But that's what we're going to be covering in the first act. And then the second act, we're going to be doing some Percy Jackson-based improv. The guests for the first act are Sequoia Simone and Paul Kayola. And for the second act, I'm still assembling the roster, but I've got some really talented New York-based improvisers coming to join me on stage, and I'm really excited about it. So get your tickets to that and the other shows at thenewestolympian.com/live. One note, not necessarily about this episode, but actually about the last episode. I got a helpful correction on Spotify from a commenter that Born This Way, the Lady Gaga song, actually predated the release of House of Hades. Born This Way came out in 2011. House of Hades came out in 2013. I had made a joke about Rick predating the message of Born This Way in the House of Hades. No. It came after. So clearly Rick was inspired by Lady Gaga while writing the Jason chapters in the House of Hades. Now, I've mentioned the Patreon, so I want to give a shout out to the folks who've joined the Patreon most recently. We have one new patron that joined in between the release of last episode and this episode, and it's an ultra god tier patron. So shout out to Kevin Wallbank, who now joins the highest tier, meaning they have producer status, meaning they can help shape decisions for the podcast in the future, but also it means I read their name in the credits at the end of every episode. So thank you, Kevin. You join the ranks of some truly illustrious folks, really helping me pursue this as a full-time career, and I very much appreciate it. Thanks to everyone for understanding this episode being a little bit later than normal. San Diego Comic-Con made things very busy. I had a very fun time there with the other Percy Jackson podcasters and getting to chat with the Percy Jackson cast and crew again. If you want to see some of the content from that San Diego Comic-Con press adventure that I went on, you can already go to the TNO Instagram account or YouTube account. I've posted some reels/shorts. And then next week we are off on TNO. August is one of those, it's been 60 days since the last time I've taken a break, months. So I'm going to take the first week of August off. I will post audio from the interviews that we did. And then the plan after me and the folks from the other podcasts that went up post all of our reels, we're going to make a collab post on YouTube with just all of the roundtables, one big 30-minute chunk video. So if you want to make sure you see that, go to the TNO YouTube account, which you can access at youtube.com/@newestolympian. And you can subscribe there, and that's where it'll be posted. But I'm also posting the shorts there, so you'll see that. But yes, I'll be sprinkling out all of the content from San Diego Comic-Con. Had a great time, learned some things, saw some folks, got some free stuff, had a delightfully nerdy time, and recorded an episode while I was there. So one of our upcoming episodes will be from an in-person recording in my hotel room at an undisclosed location in San Diego. And if you want to know who that guest is and details about it, go join the Patreon and listen to the director's commentary that I will be posting soon. Now, if you're all caught up with the Newest Olympian and you're looking for some new content to consume, you're in luck because I make a whole bunch of podcasts and various other content, and I think you would enjoy some of the other things I make. One show that I made that predated the Newest Olympian is a show called Potterless. Now, obviously, I hate J.K. Rowling. Not a fan. She's gross. She's disgusting. And I have not done much with the show in recent time because she's super terrible. But if you want some Harry Potter nostalgia made in an independent way, in a way that doesn't support her in any way, shape, or form, and dunked on her as much as possible, you can listen to Potterless. There's over 200 episodes that you can listen to. So if you're really looking to plow through some Mike Schubert content as you wait for new episodes of TNO, that is available to you. But I went through all the books, and then I went through all of the movies, and then the spin-off stuff. And then once J.K. Rowling made herself to be known publicly as a terrible person, I just started doing fan-made stuff and dunking on her. And it was really fun, and it was great. And the 10-year anniversary of Potterless's first episode is coming up later this fall, which is wild. And I think I'm going to be doing a charitable effort, one-time download sort of thing, where all of the live shows that I performed but have not posted onto the feed, because I stopped posting stuff recently because JK's just so terrible and Harry Potter stuff feels weird to post right now. I'm going to post a thing where you can one-time download, get it all, and all of the proceeds from that will go to charity. So stay tuned for that if you want to get caught up on the lore before I drop it. The Potterless lore. You can listen to all that by searching for Potterless wherever you get your podcasts, or by going to our website, potterlesspodcast.com. Now, unless you're listening on Patreon where you get access to ad-free episodes, you're going to hear words from a few sponsors who make it feasible for me to be a full-time podcaster. Some of those ads will be read by me, and others of them won't be. The ones that aren't read by me are inserted locally. So if you live in Zambia, don't be surprised if you hear an ad in English, but I guess with more relevant to Zambia advertisements, the internet says that that is the official language of the country. Once those ads are complete, we'll get back into this episode of Newest Olympian. Oh, thank you, seagulls. Perfect way to send us off. All right, and we're back. We're here for chapter 62, which is called Percy. We'll retitle it. It starts with, quote, a titan strode towards them, casually kicking lesser monsters out of his way. He was roughly the same height as Bob, with elaborate Stygian armor, a single diamond blazing in the center of his breastplate. His eyes were blue-white, like core samples from a glacier, which, of course, Percy knows what those look like, and just as cold. His hair was the same color, cut military style. A battle helmet shaped like a bear's head was tucked under his arm. From his belt hung a sword the size of a surfboard.
Dun, dun, dun.
Cool description. Really cool.
But also I was like, and I could be proven wrong. I'm sure there's like fan art of this out there. But part of me feels like a bear-shaped helmet would just look kind of goofy. Like you would look like a Teddy Graham or something.
I like that. That's very funny. Yeah, maybe you need one that's like yelling or looking ferocious because it might not look as intimidating because we see later in the chapter helmet with horns and stuff. Like that's got more fear or at least cool accents than a bear.
No, but you're right. If the bear's teeth were bared, then it would be scary.
Yes. There we go.
If the bear's teeth are bared, it will scare.
Yes, I like it. Good. Zippy rhyming. Percy is pretty sure that he has not met this guy before, but his smile especially looks familiar. And I was wondering, is this just because this is going to be Bob's brother? But we'll learn later in this episode. So he goes, Iapetus, don't tell me you don't recognize your own brother. And Bob replies, no, I won't tell you that. It's great. He's nervous while he says this, and at first I didn't pick up on what it is, but then the brother reintroduces himself as Koios, Titan of the North. Bob says, I know who you are, and Koios is very friendly, so there's no clear sign that Bob is evil. It's just like, oh, it's Bob. So now Bob has to kind of sneak and talk his way through the situation. And we know that Bob's strong suit isn't necessarily being a wordsmith, so I found this to be a fun hurdle for him to have to overcome.
Yeah, he's definitely going to want to take a few pages out of Percy and Annabeth's book here.
Exactly. So Koios pities him for having to deal with the Lethe situation and his janitor job. He says that they should rip Hades and whoever took his memory into pieces. And Bob goes, haha, yes, indeed, rip him to pieces because it's Percy who did that. So Percy is put off by this guy for many reasons, but chief among them is that he speaks in full sentences, which in contrast to Bob sounds very, very different.
You, I think, described it accurately, which is that he speaks in full sentences, but Percy thinks that means he sounds like he's reciting Shakespeare.
Yes.
And I was like, all right. I think that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah. I did also hear a funny quote. One of my friends was talking to someone not from an English-speaking country about Shakespeare, because they're talking about like the translations in other languages. And apparently this person said, I feel bad for English speakers. They're the only people who don't get to read Shakespeare in their native tongue. And it's like, oh yeah, because if you translate Shakespeare into German, it's into like regular German that people can understand. Whereas we have to like no fear Shakespeare, all the these, thys, and thous all the time.
I see, yeah.
It's pretty fun. Dang. It's a deep little quote.
I mean, when you can't even figure out how to spell face, how are you going to figure out how to translate Shakespeare?
So Percy doesn't like this guy for many reasons. He's ready to fight, but Koios hasn't noticed him yet, so he's holding back, and he trusts that Bob won't betray them because he's had opportunities throughout this little exchange to do so, and he hasn't. Koios asks Bob if he recalls the fun they had in the good old days, and I was really worried that this was going to be the classic, it's going on all well, and then when he says goodbye, Bob says something, you know, like holding up the wrong three fingers in Inglourious Bastards. Like, I thought it was going to be something like that. So then we get this exchange from the book. Of course, Bob chirped. When we, holding down our father Oranos, Koios said. Yes, we loved wrestling with Dad. We restrained him. That's what I meant. While Kronos cut him to pieces with his scythe. Yes, haha, Bob looked mildly ill. What fun. You grabbed father's right foot, as I recall, Koios said, and Oranos kicked you in the face as you struggled. How we used to tease you about that. Silly me, Bob agreed. So good. So good. Just a great version of the, hey, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that thing we did. That was awesome.
Yeah, right. That teacher who
was
taught us a subject.
Yeah. What was their name?
Mr.
Yeah. Oh, just say it for me and I'll agree with you. Yeah. That was
right. Koios laments that the demigods have dissolved their poor brother Kronos, but he thinks that this is an opportunity for one of them to have some shine. He then leans in, quote, conspiratorially, which I thought was a really fun adverb, and says, these giants may think they will rule. Let them be our shock troops and destroy the Olympians, all well and good. But once the Earth Mother is awake, she will remember that we are her eldest children. Mark my words, the Titans will yet rule the cosmos. Pretty fun stuff. Like, I think Koios is a fun villain foil here. If he comes back later when they have to start fighting, I think it'll be very interesting.
Yeah, I think he brings a fun, different personality to the Titans. He's kind of buttoned up and a little more, sounds a little more intellectual. And I like the idea that he's just, I don't know if he knows something or if this is just a hope he has. And I'm like, do you think Gaia doesn't remember that you're her eldest children already? Or you just like, let's cross that bridge when we get there.
I wonder if the reminding is like reminding more in the sense of like that she should pick us, remember that we're her eldest children more, like remember, oh, right, I should give preference to them. So, yeah, we'll see. But I like
let's twist her arm a bit.
Right. He feels like an all-around threat. Like he feels smart, but also he was described as scary enough that I feel like he could fight. So he just feels like very formidable. I thought it was very
which
fun.
I appreciate, especially because a lot of the giants and the titans and whatnot are just kind of played off as, oh, like they're so unintelligent. They're just like meat sacks. They're ugly.
Totally. Or you get Prometheus on the full other end of the spectrum where it's just like, well, he's the talky one and that's it.
Yeah.
So he seems like somewhere in the middle. Bob warns that the giants may not like this plan. And Koyo says, I don't care. They're already through the doors, whatever. And he said the last one, Polybites, exited 30 minutes ago ranting about how his desired prey was eaten by Knicks. So this is good given that the baddies at least think Percy and Annabeth are dead. So this will allow them to sneakily make their way through their journey. Annabeth then grabs Percy's arm in concern, and Percy knows her thoughts and agrees. The pro is that we don't have to face off against the giants. The con is that the rest of our friends will have to. So not phenomenal. Koios draws a sword, which radiates a chilling cold, and he says he's off to find Leto to convince her to fight. And Bob goes, of course, Leto. And Koios reminds him that she's his daughter and says that it makes sense he forgot since it was so long ago. He thinks it'll be hard to convince someone as peaceful as her to join the fight, but he thinks that she must, given how Zeus treated her after bearing him twins. And at first I was like, oh my God, I have to call in Dr. Moya. This sounds familiar. I've definitely heard the name Leto. And then 2 lines later, narrator Percy comes in, quote, he remembered the name Leto, that actor who keeps showing up in movies for some reason. Can we stop giving this guy work? What are we like? Is he even that good? Like there have been so many movies. Like I would have seen that new Tron movie, but he's in it, so I'm not going to see it. Like, what are we doing?
Anytime I see his face on a movie poster, I just see like a single-digit % on Rotten Tomatoes floating in front of the screen.
Not even just because he's bad at acting. Like he's had enough flops and stuff, but have we all forgotten that he ran a cult? Like, what are we doing? Like, credibly accused of assault Jared Leto? Why is he still getting work?
Yeah, there's unfortunately many examples of people like that, but he is a very prominent one.
Really don't get it. Really don't get it. I was so sad when I learned, maybe I shouldn't, if you like bands that were popular in the like mid 2010s, skip ahead a little bit. I was so sad when I learned he was in 30 Seconds to Mars. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I did not know that.
I think he's the lead singer. Gosh.
Whoa.
Sucks.
Dude.
It's like, well, I'm not listening to these songs anymore.
Everyone sucks all the time, is what I've learned in my 22 years.
Except for us. We're great.
Yeah.
Everybody support the pod. Keep listening and support the pod.
do.
Anyway, so Percy said, he remembered the name Leto, the mother of Apollo and Artemis. This guy Koios looked vaguely familiar because he had Artemis's cold eyes and Apollo's smile. The Titan was their grandfather, Leto's father. The idea gave Percy a migraine. So now it all makes sense. So Koios chest bumps Bob, love it, and says that he'll see him in the mortal world and informs him that their 2 other brothers are guarding this side of the doors and he will meet them soon enough. So at this point in my notes are perfect exchange, don't blow it, let him leave. He does, it's all good. Percy then asks Bob if he's okay, and this next bit is great because Bob frowns and goes, I do not know. In all this, he gestured around them. What is the meaning of okay? Fair point, Percy thought. So I love that Rick invented the gestures wildly meme. Like that's phenomenal. Yeah. But also, I was noticing this feels like a more prophetic thing for Bob to say.
Totally.
And then Annabeth doesn't like the sound of the two Titans guarding the exit. And then Percy asks Bob, do you remember those things that Koyos mentioned? And then Bob gets really deep. He says, quote, when he told it, I remembered. He handed me my past like a spear, but I do not know if I should take it. Is it still mine? If I do not want it?
Ooh.
And that's like so more eloquent than I think Bob would normally say. So I wonder, is this intentional? Is Bob becoming more well-spoken since he has remembered his past a little bit more? Is he becoming more Iapetus, but still a good version? I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, he's kind of gaining a higher consciousness here.
Yeah.
These books, obviously, while they're kids' books, they still deal with deeper themes and really complex questions of existence. But I thought these two little moments that he has are particularly kind of striking. Like, oh gosh, you're right. I don't know. This reminds me, did you ever watch The Good Place?
I did.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of those sorts of discussions they would have on there. I mean, they were always talking about philosophers and specifically philosophies of life and death and morality. So for him to ask these sorts of questions, I was like, this could just be him chopping it up with Kristen Bell.
Could be. Really could be. I like that. Annabeth says he does not have to take it. He is a different and better being now. He's Bob. He does not have to do this. Percy is not as definitive as Annabeth because he thinks about when he had his memory wiped at the Wolf House. And he thinks if someone was there just as I woke and gave me some sort of fake story, said my name is Bob, would I have bought it? And I think that's a really profound thought from Percy. Percy thinks, but this is different because we're the good guys. But then immediately he goes, are we the good guys? Which I think is the correct approach. He feels bad for leaving Bob in a palace with a master who hates him. And he feels bad that he's been telling Bob what to do. He thinks he has no business to do so even if their lives depend on it. So he tells Bob, you can choose the parts of your past you want to keep and you can leave the rest. Quote, your future is what matters. Bob says, that is a mortal concept as Titans are not meant to change. And I wrote in my notes, but you have changed. And Percy is on the same line of thinking as me, saying, if you were the same, me and Annabeth wouldn't be alive right now. You've been the best friend that we could ever ask for. So then Bob holds out his hand for Small Bob to jump in and he says, let us go then, friends, not much further. And then there's a line break and then narrator Percy says, stomping on Tartarus's heart wasn't nearly as much fun as it sounded. And this feels like Rick formatted this as it could have been a chapter break, but then decided, I'm going to break it at a different part, but still liked the line, so he kept it in.
That's a great point. This is totally an opening chapter line here.
100%. So basically, it's hard to walk over the terrain and there's monsters all over the place. So that's what makes traversing this not very fun. Percy touches an artery and can sense that there's water inside. So he asks Bob, there's water in here? And Bob says, it's one of the 5 rivers, which make up the blood of Tartarus.
And how many pints is that?
Oh, so many. I don't think even Gallon Man can contain all of this.
No, we're going to need a lot of Gallon Mans to figure out how much blood's in Tartarus.
We're going to need some Gallon Men up in here.
We're going to need a gallon army.
Oh my gosh. Narrative says this quote, he realized he was taking a stroll across the most dangerous circulatory system in the universe. What a way to put it. So they see the doors. Percy wonders how the heck the crew of the Argo 2 dreams come true. We'll get to the doors with all
What's
these.
That one?
Someone emailed me about this. It is the sequel to Cinderella. They actually said you should do a twist in time. And I looked that up, but that's actually Cinderella 3.
Oh,
and the internet told me. I mean, I Googled it to make sure. I was like, what's that Cinderella thing that listener
but get it right.
About?
I'm glad you're getting it right.
Yeah, but no, now we're all learning. But yes, Argo 2 Dreams Come True, which just has such a nice ring to it.
That's fire. I like it.
So he's thinking, how the heck are the Argo 2 crew going to get through with all of these baddies exiting the doors? Percy asks, do all monsters go through the House of Hades? How big does the House of Hades have to be for it to fit them all? And Bob thinks, maybe they go to other locations. Maybe some people are brought to different spots. That makes Percy feel worse because monsters greeting his friend in Epirus is bad, but just showing up wherever in the world causing chaos, that's worse.
Yeah.
Annabeth wonders if Gia will be able to control wherever they end up when they pass through. And narrator Percy says, quote, Percy really hated that question. Sometimes he wished Annabeth weren't so smart. Bob thinks it might be different since you aren't monsters, and Percy realizes no matter what, this is our best option for exiting Tartarus, so we gotta just do it.
Yeah.
They see the doors more clearly now. Hyperion is one of the guardians, and Percy, as the narrator, thinks that guy just won't stay dead because, yeah, they killed him earlier in this book. He was in the sack reforming, and they killed him, and now he's already back.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I actually forgot about that. They literally just stomped on him.
Yeah.
They stomped on him, and he immediately showed up and clocked in for his shift.
Yes, gosh. Stinky, stinky. The other guardian is Krios, who Percy has only seen in dreams, but he knows that's the one that Jason bested on the Battle of Mount Tam. And then the book ends the chapter with the following, quote, Bob's other brothers, Annabeth said. The death mist shimmered around her, temporarily turning her face into a grinning skull. Ugh. Bob, if you have to fight them, can you? Bob hefted his broom like he was ready for a messy cleaning job. We must hurry, he said, which Percy noticed wasn't really an answer. And I also noticed immediately. I was ready to write that down, but then Percy did it. Mm-hmm. And then Bob says, follow me. And that's the end of chapter 62, which I've retitled Back to the Future 2, since Bob was talking about the future.
Back to the Future 2. Dreams come true.
Dreams come true.
I've retitled this chapter Bob Plays Coy. Coy spelled K-O-I for Koyos.
Oh, that's so good.
Thank you. I was pretty happy with that one.
That's so good. That would have brought the house down at a live show. But just know there was a lot of people out there.
Can everyone in your houses or on your commute just scream and clap as if you were there, and maybe I'll hear it through just the atmosphere?
There's definitely, if you felt something channeling through your body, I guess like whatever this comes later,
right.
Just like, 3-ish weeks from now or whatever, it's like, whoa, what was that? It's got to be the people first hearing it and going, oh.
Yeah. I check my Spotify notifications. It's uploaded.
Now I just need to wait 1 hour.
Rubbing my hands together, waiting for the normal person to comment about that.
All right, let's do chapter 63. It's super short. We'll get through this super quickly. So this one's called Percy. We'll retitle it. It starts with, quote, so far, their death mist camouflage plan seemed to be working. So naturally, Percy expected a massive last-minute fail. Yeah, given Rick Riordan's writing style, I am also anticipating this.
No, I think they're just going to slip on through.
It should be fine. Wouldn't that I still say it would be so good if there's a Percy Jackson short story where nothing bad happens. It would be so funny. Like, they could do it for one of the spin-off things. A little slice of life. Just 20 minutes, like, you think it's going to be bad the whole time, and then just nothing happens. It would be so funny.
Everyone's so tense, and then it just ends.
Yeah, everything's chill. Annabeth halts about 50 feet from the doors, and she says, oh gods, they're the same. And I thought at first she was talking about the Titans, but no. Percy clocks that they're an inverse version of the elevator doors to Olympus, but made out of Stygian iron, which I think is very cool. And it also now makes the interior back flap of my 4th book, my House of Hades book, makes sense. I have the hardcover thing that has this poster I talked about, but when it's closed, it says open at your own risk, and the doors look very elevator-y, but they kind of just look like machine doors. So first, when I saw this picture of just kind of like gray doors, I was like, these are weird looking doors. Like, I don't know. I was expecting something more ornate, but now it makes sense. They're elevator doors. Really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
It's clever.
Percy instantly becomes homesick for every aspect of his previous life. The doors now feel like they are taunting him. Percy notices more details. There's frost at the base of the doors. There's a purple glow around the doors. And then there's these chains kind of holding the doors in place. Krios and Hyperion are guarding the anchor points. They have this suspension bridge style rigging going with these cords. The doors then shudder, black lightning flashes, the chains shake, and the Titans secure the frame as the doors open. Hyperion then calls out for group A22 to enter, and a dozen Cyclopes run up. And as they get into the door, their bodies distort and shrink so that they can all fit like it's a clown car.
So cute.
Super cute. Krios pushes the up button, the doors close, the frame shakes, and dark lightning fades. Bob then explains that Thanatos designed the Doors of Death to relocate every time they were used so that only he could find them. That's why they're chained to stay in place. Oh, which is like, I wonder if this has a mythological backing or if this is Rick Riordan just cooking. I'll have to ask Dr. Moya, but whatever it is, this is so cool and really fun creative thinking.
Right, because this situation is obviously very different than any other situation where some monster would be coming from the Doors of Death up back into the mortal world. So in my mind, I'm like, man, is he really bouncing around all the time? But I guess he's not releasing people back into the mortal world all the time, so.
Right. Not super common.
Yeah.
Annabeth thinks, well, in this case, we should cut the chains. And Percy is worried about facing Hyperion in a battle because defeating just him alone took all of his effort. Now I got to fight a second guy, too? That sucks. Percy asks Bob if their camouflage will disappear if they try something aggressive like cutting the chains. Bob's not sure. Small Bob says morale, which is very helpful for morale. Annabeth says that Bob should distract them while Percy and Annabeth cut the chains from behind. Bob agrees, but he says the real problem is that once they're in the doors, someone must stay outside to push the button and defend it. And I'm calling my shot here. This is where Damison is going to show up. I've not read past this chapter. We don't learn who's going to do this. I think Damison's going to show up to be the button holder. That is my prediction. Felt like we were getting that set up. And if he doesn't show up, I'll be very mad at him. But that's my prediction. And your trapdoor is going to stay intact.
Oh, yeah. It's good.
Very good. Yes, we had to install it in your apartment once you joined
I know.
the team.
I just got here. It was sort of like, I don't know if the landlord's okay with it, but we had to do it.
Yeah, and if they're not okay with it, we will send them through the trapdoor, which we should do to all landlords.
Yeah.
Get a job.
Yeah, we'll activate it for
her.
a special occasion. Yeah.
Percy asks, defend the button? And then Bob says that someone must push the up button for 12 minutes or the journey will not finish. 12 minutes? 2 episodes of Bluey? What are we talking about?
This is, if I were Percy and Annabeth, and I'm already just in the actual worst place physically, emotionally, global context of just society, and then I also hear that on top of this already impossible task, it takes 12 minutes. I don't know. I feel like I'm just crumpling over right there.
Imagine being in a video game and it's the big final fight thing, one of those classic defend the whatever levels, and the timer shows up and it says 12 minutes. I would scream at my television.
Just
so
waves
upset.
of like orcs and imps.
12 minutes? Oh my God. So I was freaking.
Oh, and then you get 11 minutes in and you die and you're like, I'm not. All right, turn the TV off without even turning the PlayStation off.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to turn it off correctly. I don't care. That's how upset I am.
Just out of here. I'm so out of here. I also now have to let the record show, because I mentioned Bluey. Shout out to early in this podcast when I dunked on Bluey and said it was a show for parents, not kids, because the kids are annoying. I have come around. We've not showed it to our kid. Our kid has seen 0 movies, 0 TVs, because she's super obsessed with books, and we're trying to get her as little on screens as possible, which is awesome.
Oh, cool.
And it's been working great. Kid loves books. It's good. So she only knows Bluey to be a character from books and diapers in Australia, because when we bought diapers there, they had Bluey on them. So her introduction was first diaper character, then books. So she thinks Bluey is just a book character, which is great. But I have to say, I've learned more because I have nieces and nephews. And what people said, which is like early episodes, Bluey is kind of annoying and stuff, and maybe not the best influence, but they really introduce other dogs that can be the bad ones so that Bluey and Bingo can be better eggs. And then it's like, yeah, this is Muffy or someone and she stinks. Like there's a spoiled rotten kid and stuff like that, which I think is a really smart job for the TV show. This is the biggest flaw with Space Jam 2 is that LeBron was unlikable for most of the film, but he's also the main character. He's supposed to learn this lesson about parenting. It's like, okay, but he's just a bad dad for 80% of this movie. So like I don't want to root for him. Yeah, that was, I think, the biggest flaw amongst many for Space Jam 2.
Not to sound redundant, because we know everyone's talking about how Space Jam 2 and Bluey share the same core issue.
Truly,
we just have to make it known.
Yeah, not to beat a dead horse.
Yeah, I know. You're tired of hearing about it.
I'm reading so many articles about this on Medium.
Vulture.
Tumblr. So anyway, Percy thinks that 12 minutes is impossible and asks Bob, why 12 minutes? Bob says he's not sure. He guesses 12 Olympians, 12 Titans. I wrote, or Rick being cruel. Annabeth asks what happens to the passengers if the journey doesn't finish, because Annabeth is a killjoy and always wants us to have the worst possible knowledge in our brains at all times. Bob doesn't answer, which is an answer enough. Percy asks, okay, so if we do hold it for 12 minutes and the chains are cut, what happens? And Bob says the doors will reset as they're intended. Gia can't use them. And then I'm thinking, all right, this could be the book ending. I fear, though, that what's going to happen is it'll be a situation where like they cut them and then she is able to get through. So it stops everybody else from coming through, but she gets through. So there's enough people already through plus her.
Right.
And then she is awoken.
And then imagine how awkward that elevator ride's going to be.
Yeah, who's she going to be stuck in there for 12 minutes?
Yeah, are they playing like elevator music? Is everyone
Muzak? They have to play Muzak. They absolutely
hands
have
in
to
pocket.
be.
Well, that would be really great. I honestly don't remember what happens in the rest of this, like in these following chapters, so this isn't a spoiler, but it would be so funny if there's like battle raging outside and then just intermittently cut back and forth in between the elevator and it's still
It would also be funny if the way it works is like Percy and Annabeth are in the elevator and we've seen like this misty version of Gia that like can't really be defeated and can't really affect them. So if they're stuck in the elevator with her, it would be really funny too. It's just like Percy, Annabeth, and Misty Gia for 12 minutes. That's an eternity. That's an eternity for an awkward elevator ride.
So are you going to solidify or what?
Oh yeah. So I don't know. Like, what was your childhood like?
So the weather in Tartarus.
Where'd you go to school?
How's your family doing?
We've seen a lot of them. Not good.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm going to a reunion right now.
And you're gonna die at it. So that's my prediction. Annabeth says that this means death would work as intended, and Percy replies, "Easy peasy, except for, well, everything." Bob offers to push and defend the button, and narrator Percy says, quote, "A mix of feelings churned in Percy's gut: grief, sadness, gratitude, and guilt thickening into emotional cement." This is like when you have 5 friends and you get 4 tickets to something and someone bows out. It's one of those like, oh, I'm happy, but also like, oh, I feel bad. Like, I know this feeling for sure.
That's tough.
So then Percy says, "We can't ask you to do this, Bob. You want to go back to the mortal world and see the sky and the stars." And Bob agrees. "I would like that, but it's the smartest choice." Percy is not certain that Bob could fend off evil for 12 minutes with his finger on the button, and then the book ends the chapter with the following. The cement settled in Percy's stomach. He had always suspected how this would end. He would have to stay behind. While Bob fended off the army, Percy would hold the elevator button and make sure Annabeth got to safety. Somehow, he had to convince her to go without him. As long as she was safe and the doors disappeared, he could die knowing he'd done something right. "Percy?" Annabeth stared at him, a suspicious edge to her voice. She was too smart. If he met her eyes, she would see exactly what he was thinking. "First things first," he said. "Let's cut those chains." So I'm very worried, but this does line up with a prediction that I had, that I feel like one of our friends from the 7 is going to get stuck on the other side. I would guess Hazel, because it's like, oh, underworld, this is like where I belong kind of thing. But then she'd have to like get through. So I don't know, she could be in the defense thing. So I could see this being Damison. I could see this being Hazel. I could see this being Bob. I could see this being all of them. But like at least the sort of thing I saw, which was someone's going to get stuck on the other side. This opens the door for someone's getting stuck on the other side.
Yeah.
So
it seems someone's got to push that button.
Someone's got to do it, and they need like multiple people to defend is what I'm thinking really here is like someone's got to hold it, other people are going to have to defend. Does that count as the Jason death I've predicted? Will he have a different death? I don't know. I see this happening, and I'm worried most about Hazel and Jason from our crew, and from not our crew, I'm worried about Bob and Damison. That's where I'm at. That's the end of chapter 63, which I've retitled "We Prepare for the Tower of Terror." Because I feel like at the beginning you wouldn't guess that it would be elevator, but then the surprise, it is elevator. What have you retitled it?
Well, then when they do the Percy Jackson theme park, which they gotta get.
I mean, they just gotta rebrand some rides in Disney. Like it's like, Guardians of the Galaxy. I went to California and I did the Guardians of the Galaxy version of Tower of Terror, which is of course inferior to the Tower of Terror, but it's still fun. Like it was more fun than I was anticipating. Okay. Tower of Terror is just perfect vibes. But yeah, like give me Percy Jackson instead of that one. Like keep the Tower of Terror in Florida, but then give me Tartarus, the Tower of Tartarus in
there you go.
Actually, nope, there it is. That's actually the title. It's the Tower of Tartarus. Easy peasy. So yes, give me the Tower of Tartarus. At Disney California. But I do have retitling for chapter 63.
Yeah, but it's a worse version now.
It's okay. It's okay.
I retitled this chapter, "We Prepare to Board the Hellevator."
Oh, but Hellevator's a really good pun. I like that. That's still
thanks,
very
Mike.
good. Very, very fun. Well, that is the end of the chapter. That's the end of this episode. Emma, thank you so much for making your debut as the guest. Yay. Is there anything you want to plug to the folks at home if they want to find you doing stuff?
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm not necessarily a public figure or anything like that, but if you are in the Chicago area and you like improv, stand-up, comedy of any variety, theater, if you want, you can follow me on Instagram at emma.nelsen_. And I don't have any posts up or anything, but like I'll post on my story anytime that I'm doing a show or something like that, if you want to pull up there. And then besides that, I mean, if you want to follow me on my TikTok, it's Emma Nelsen 222. Also not very active, but every 2 months you might get a really bizarre video dropping on your page.
There you go.
If that sounds like something that's appealing to you.
Beautiful. Well, Emma, thank you so much for joining. Listeners, thank you for listening. And until next time, as we see who's going to be helping out with this elevator situation, until then, I'll pursue you later. Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of The Newest Olympian. This podcast is created, hosted, and produced by me, Mike Schubert. I also run the social media and the website. Our editor is Emma Nelsen, and the music is by Bettina Campamanas and Brandon Grugel. If you just cannot get enough of the show, there's a couple of different things that you can do. First off, you can find us on social media. We're at Newest Olympian on Instagram and other places, but Instagram's where we're most active. You can also support the show on Patreon. TheNewestOlympian.com/Patreon is where you get access to bonus episodes, director's commentaries, behind-the-scenes looks in the pod, as well as our Discord. It's a phenomenal community with lots of wonderful TNO listeners. You can get access to that. The TNO Patreon is also where you can get live show replays and other digital goodies. But you can also go to thenewsolympian.com/merch to rep the show with some physical and digital merch as well. Speaking of the Patreon, let's give a shout out to our producer level patrons in the Olympic court level of the Patreon. So shout out to Kelsey Gillespie, Vicky Garcia, Frida, Megan Moon, Polly Burge, Nikki Harris, Tatiana Schmidt, Sam Reeby, Mrs. O'Leary, Milo Kim, Sandkoff, Rayla Matthews, Sky Mallory, Mick Walters, Grace, Bradimus Prime, Skylar Sisters, Scott Sheldon, Ann M. Thayer Cohen, Bella, Percy Jackson, Kit Kat Crumbs, Andrea, not Andrea, Terry Rothfuzz, Certified Ghost King's emotional support friend, Lee Hartley, Marco Redhouse, and Raccoon Moon 149. If you want to support the show in a non-monetary way, word of mouth is huge. It goes a long way for podcast growth. So you could talk about the show with someone directly. You could post about it on social media. You could leave us a rating and review on whatever podcasting app you're using. All these things really do help. I appreciate anyone who has done it in the past or will do it in the future. But I'm just so thankful that you tuned into this episode, and I hope you tune in to our next full episode, which will release on August 10th as we break down chapters 64 and 65 of the House of Hades with Jania Stewart. But until then, I'll pursue you later. Hey everyone, how's it going? It's me, ASMR Mike. So, birds have begun to chirp as I recorded the mid-roll break and stuff here as not ASMR Mike. So I'm just going to kind of keep talking a little bit and seeing if they chirp some more. You can hear some tweeting. Oh, there was a good little squawk from a seagull. Anything else? Oh, there's people. Here are people leaving their front door with a dog. The door just closed. And here they're going to open a fence. Oh, and more chirping. I don't know if you can hear that. They're really far away. I feel like at least that chirping is going to be coming through. Thank you so much for listening.